Yo everyone, welcome back to another video. I know that was pretty fast, but I apologize for the fast-paced action, the awkward action. But anyway guys, for the past few weeks I've been trying to accomplish a project with my company which took a really long time. I've got all my documents in this folder, all my significant documents as you notice, and I've signed many contracts, and yeah, it's been taking a while. Sorry for the inactivity. Anyway guys, today I'm going to talk about the people who affect a business, and those are known as stakeholders. Guys, I must have mentioned shareholders in the first business video I ever made. That video, as you know, was on the difference between public and private limited companies. But guys, stakeholders are not to be confused with ordinary shareholders, and that only refers to the people within a business. Like in a private limited company, you are the shareholder, is the one who invested in the share. You get as many shares as possible and you invest a specific amount of money to own all the shares, so you have part ownership to the company. However, stakeholders is more broad because stakeholders refer to the people besides the shareholders who can be affected by a business or affected within a business, and that can involve many types of people. As I mentioned, stakeholders can involve ordinary shareholders. Stakeholders can be internal or external because all they're doing is basically affecting a business or affecting the company they are operating in. So for example, an example of an internal stakeholder, of course, is within the business, hence the name internal, and that includes the employees, managers, and of course, as I mentioned, shareholders. So anyone who has part ownership and invested, of course, that counts, but the people within the business can be affected. External stakeholders refer to, people who are outside, who are not within the business. Customers count as external stakeholders. At the same time, external stakeholders can be the government, suppliers, the environmentalists, of course, also other creditors or the banks. So they're the people outside who a business can be affected by. Like when customers, for example, is one significant thing you can think of, because, for example, if the way a business runs, for example, it'll affect how the customer satisfaction, many things about the customers will be affected. In this video, you will be able to learn how to analyze and evaluate the interests of external and internal stakeholders, as well as evaluate, so while you analyze the interests of internal and external stakeholders, you have to be able to evaluate what the benefit and the conflict between stakeholders are, their interests. As you know, is the world's most expensive car. $4.8 million. Pretty cool, huh? And its top speed is around 410 kilometers per hour. Well, yeah, I want to go over this opposite extreme. This is known as the cheapest car in the world. Many of you have heard of the Tata Nano, and many of you must have heard of the Tata company. It's an Indian company, Indian car company, and it's classified as the cheapest car in the world, as you know. So produced that often, but as you notice, it's a 3-meter long car, 4 seats, 100 kilometers per hour max, I think. It is known as the cheapest in the world, and this car only costs 100,000 Indian rupees or $2,600. And they claimed at the beginning of launch, it would change the way people would travel within India and Asia, and it would be affordable to millions of consumers for the first time. However, the sale level are below the forecast. As of December 2013, there was just 544 units. Quite not a lot. In my example here, as you notice, there's not a lot of units either, because units are kind of the divisions of the company. That's a simple way to define it. It's more complicated, but I don't want to spend time talking about it now. So units are kind of what the companies are made of. And we have the sales, it's kind of what you get in return. So as you notice, this is the break-even chart, and the break-even point, which is calculated normally, refers to the point at which the revenue and the costs are equal, so therefore the net profit is 0. So do not confuse revenue with profit, because revenue only refers to what you earn. Profit refers to revenue minus cost. So you're subtracting the revenue with the amount of expenses in your business, and that gives you the amount you're actually getting. Tell you guys, customers nowadays are being put off by the car's poor safety record. So as you notice, customers are part of the external stakeholders, and they are being negatively affected by this. And besides the customers, even the governments, even environmental groups are absolutely alarmed by the unsafety record of this car and its environmental impact. So that's how you notice it. Stakeholders are people who are affected by a company.
Ah, my god.
Guys, you must try this body lotion. Just drop some on your face. Trust me, it'll make you feel good. Oh, Jesus. Ah! Now that I feel fresh, I want to proceed. So as you notice, in the past few videos, I think even the past 2-3 videos, the main topic that's linked to is business decisions and strategies. Businesses, of course, I've mentioned this in many videos, I'm sorry to repeat. Businesses come up with many strategies and decisions in order to develop themselves. However, the decisions and the strategies and the activities done by business can both be positive and negative to stakeholders. I gave the example of Tata Nano, right? The way they priced it, however, did have a positive impact initially to customers, but then later it concerned other stakeholders as it was not performing well and it was not up to standard. So stakeholders can have both positive and negative impacts, keep that in mind. However, as many things have advantages and disadvantages, some business decisions can have both a positive and negative impact on a stakeholder. So guys, of course, as you know, we have the internal and external stakeholders. Internal, of course, the owners and all, and external, the community and everyone else. Stakeholders are usually the ones interested in a business. Whether it's the customer or the people within the business, they're the ones interested in it. So of course, these examples which I gave even the first time have different roles. So the employees of the business are the kind of the ones who are earning low salaries and their goals are to ensure the employment is secure. They want to keep their job because remember, they're working for the business for the sake of earning money. They want to find a job and they think working for the business is a good job. They want to ensure there's good working conditions, and at the same time, they're kind of concerned about some small decisions within the business, although they're not fully responsible for it. Managers are the lower hierarchy of owners. The owners mainly concerned about making the profit, and at the same time the managers want to ensure there's good employees and all. They're in charge of the employees and in charge of, the salaries and all. We have the shareholders. Shareholders are the ones who have invested in the shares and at the same time they want to get a potential reward out of that. So they're the people who have part ownership and own few specific amount of shares, showing that they're part of the company, and at the same time once they've invested and once the investment count has increased, their share price will increase. So that's what they want. The customers are the ordinary ones. Everyone who visits a business is a customer, who buys the products and visits a business. It's hard to define customers, but you guys probably know what they are. So the customers are the ones who care the business has the right value for money, because remember, they're buying the products from the business. They need to ensure that the products aren't too expensive. At the same time, besides the money and the price, the product quality should be good. The Tata Nano is not a good example of that. While at the same time, the customer would probably not want to buy the most expensive car in the world, they would still not want to buy something with poor product quality. And of course, they want good service. If the service is poor, that would turn off customers significantly. And long-term rewards. So the suppliers are the ones who want the business to continue, and those are what they expect. So the government wants to ensure jobs are created, taxes and all, read it yourself. Finally, competitors, like they want to ensure that the competition of the business is fair and at the same time they're interested in their strategic planning. However, each type of stakeholder, of course, does have a certain responsibility. So of course, the employee has to ensure that they're following the business up to standards, they're following the rules set by the business, they have to work accordingly. And sometimes the employees have to go through training, of course, before they work for the business. So they have to be responsible, ensure it's doing well, and keep the business up to standard, because the employees are the ones who are ensuring the business is successful. They have to work towards it, because without good employees, the business may not work. So we have managers, they ensure the job is secure, the salaries are competitive. And shareholders, of course, they should receive the annual accounts and the strategies. So we have the customers. You can read through it yourself. So of course, the customers have their own laws to follow. So they can't, take advantage of the others. They can't break laws. And so government has to pay the profit tax and keep accounting records, because remember, the accounting is taken into account. So that can help identify the true profit of a business. Refer to this again. Where in the break-even chart is the business? It should be up. Past the break-even point, lots of units sold and lots of sales. Finally, of course, the competitors. So they have to compete fairly. While they want to compete and get the best out of the business, they have to still follow the laws. They're not still restricted to that. And the business should keep the strategic plans kind of to themselves, because then the competitors will try to copy and make a better out of it. So a business, like, there is such thing as stakeholder conflict, which I'm going to get into quite briefly. Stakeholder conflict is, of course, if many things can affect things with one another in a business. So how can, for example, expanding the business affect the employees within the business and the local community? So of course, expansion would create more job opportunities, and we have examples. If there's new IT, there's more promotion opportunities, and the local businesses could benefit from increased orders. So if there's an IT system, it's easier to order from the business and get something out of it. So guys, mini evaluation. While this is just an introductory video, so don't bug me if this is quite kind of confusing and you want more depth with this. But let's kind of evaluate what stakeholder conflict is. So for example, businesses often try to deal according so that the stakeholders aren't negatively affected or too negatively affected by it. When building a new power plant, let's say, away from houses in a completely isolated area to protect the community from the emissions from the smoke, but this will also be more expensive. At the same time, airports and flights. In any airports are usually public sector company or whoever starts it. Airports is kind of confusing. Usually it's run by the government. In many airports, depends on what. But as you notice, flights and airports are open 24 hours and they operate 24/7. Flights and all can operate at any time. However, there might be a slightly higher cost in order to insulate all the sound coming from the planes, especially people who live near there. And guys, to evaluate, in a business strategy, in a business action, coordination is required. One person can't deal with all responsibilities. Do you think when I work in a company, I'm in charge of everything? No. I have to coordinate with my group. I have to coordinate with other people. The owners themselves can't think of it. The managers themselves can't. There has to be a huge group. There has to be evaluation, continuous. It might take days or months. Trust me, business strategies are not easy and they require continuous work. They have to set priorities because there are conflicts with stakeholders. One can be positively affected, one can be negatively affected. So there has to be a serious evaluation of which stakeholders are the most significant. They have to set priorities, and also perhaps rank it. Think about it. You can rank it. How much will this stakeholder be affected? Should I do this because who will be negatively affected by this? Of course, there'll be an extra cost, for example, meeting the needs of stakeholder groups. And if you fail to meet the interests of one group, there could be a loss of revenue, but they have to decide who are the most important stakeholders in the case and who will be how badly negatively affected. Some might have a mild negative effect, but trust me, some are necessary or compulsory for the operation of the business or when it comes to any strategy. So they have to be evaluated. So that's one thing. Anyway, guys, this concludes today's videos. And guys, if your company fails to make profit, talk to me. I will give you the best advice. And remember, stay happy whatsoever. Loss of profit is not the end of the world. You just have to cope with it. Whatever turns out in a business is all about hard work. You don't give up. You have to keep trying. You have to keep coordinating, keep evaluating. It's not as simple as it looks, but once you get to it, you get the hang of it. And don't worry, guys. Everyone goes through hard times, but as you notice, there will always be any type of conflict within a business, so you do have to keep that in mind. But I know I'm being repetitive, so see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.